Excuse me. Your curtain. Please allow me to help.
Help? From you?
I didn't mean to offend. I just thought you should know that
That I should know what? That some privileged white guy thinks his opinion matters? Get over your entitlement. I'm not some damsel in distress waiting for you to ride in on your high.
It's the most emotional experience that a person can go through to know that what they're working on is something that has reached a generation of people.
Yeah.
Weird.
Thanks.
You know, I don't need your business. You know what? Maybe Disney does. Maybe you're a tool, you're a pawn in this film. You didn't write it, you didn't direct it, you have nothing to do with the creation of Snow White.
Right.
You should shut up and do the job.
God. I would highly advise that you boycott this film, no matter how much your children love Snow White.
If you disagree with the sentiment, just hit the unfollow button. I don't need your business.
Remaking the movie, they just got rid of the dwarves. Okay,
but what do they call them?
Why would they get rid of the
call them
dwarves, though?
Magical creatures.
But they have one token dwarf amongst these magical creatures. You actually just went backwards. You actually just erased the dwarfism side of it. The disability, like we're a disability group, you just erased that whole image. The argument should have been from Peter Dinklage, there's power of being on TV, there's power of television, and to put 7 people with dwarfism on camera in a major Disney movie, there's still power there. If the story is offensive, change the story, don't change the character.
This is no ordinary apple, my dear. It's a magic wishing apple. A wishing apple? You offer it to me freely. In place of the patriarchy, you would have a queen! Not white, but diverse, inclusive, and equitable! I will become the leader I know I can be! All shall love me and despair!
Oh, what has she done to you? Fear not. First love's kiss can break any curse.
Something wrong with her. She's disturbed, she's unhappy, and she thinks it's about feminism and the patriarchy and about abortion. But the reality is she's just not stable. Like the majority of people in Hollywood, they're just not stable human beings.
Can also be having the greatest time and simultaneously wishing people would stop sending me.
RachelZegler just got hit with another wave of embarrassment, and this time it's from The Simpsons. In their upcoming episode, they're taking a direct shot at Rachel and the whole Snow White remake drama. They've created a fake movie inside the show called SnowWhite the Reimagining. And yep, it's exactly what it sounds like. A brutal parody of Disney's failed attempt to modernize the classic fairy tale. Rachel's been in the spotlight for all the wrong reasons lately. Fan backlash, online hate, and a box office flop. And now, with The Simpsons openly mocking her in the film, things have gone from bad to worse. What was supposed to be a fresh take on Snow White has now turned into a full-blown joke, and Rachel's right in the middle of it.
It got destroyed at the box office. Here's the box office numbers. The Minecraft movie made $60 million on Saturday. Snow White made 2.
Can you believe it? Minecraft, a movie about pixelated blocks, just crushed RachelZegler's Snow White completely, and Disney totally humiliated. The studio never imagined that casting Rachel would backfire this badly. But let's be honest, most people didn't even know who she was until she started running her mouth in interviews. What was supposed to be a fresh take on a classic fairy tale ended up turning into one big PR disaster.
And I can only hope that despite my flaws, and despite my cracks and my breaks, and there are many of them, that at every premiere and everything I do, people will wait in line.
But the reality was very different. Theaters were completely empty. People started filming themselves walking into showings where they were literally the only ones there. No crowd, no buzz, just rows of empty seats. It was clear audiences had completely rejected Disney's Snow White remake.
How empty it is. I hope it's off the woke we go. I hope. Sound like I hear a couple of people. One, two. Okay. 2.
And now the Simpsons are turning RachelZegler into a national joke on TV for everyone to see. According to sources close to her, Rachel's furious. She's definitely not laughing, not even a little. In the episode, the cartoon version of her is portrayed as a tone-deaf, self-obsessed girl boss who's totally out of touch with reality. And honestly, a lot of people agree with that image. And just when you think it couldn't get any worse, while the Simpsons are busy roasting her, Rachel's out there trying to distance herself, running from the disaster that was Snow White and its total failure.
To those who are just kind of overly critiquing the film at this point, you've worked so hard on it. All right.
RachelZegler has suddenly gone completely silent, just days after reports came out that Disney asked her to help cover the losses from the Snow White disaster. The actress, who's been at the center of nonstop controversy, has now vanished from the spotlight. No interviews, no social media posts, nothing. It's like she disappeared overnight.
Producers, far left-wing activists in Hollywood are turning on her, and Disney has canceled all of RachelZegler's appearances on their media platforms.
This is exactly what critics have been saying for months, and now it's all blowing up. RachelZegler, already drowning in bad press, is getting dragged by The Simpsons, one of the most legendary shows on TV. Let's be real. This might just be her most embarrassing moment yet.
I mean, you know, the original cartoon came out in 1937, and very evidently so. There's a big focus on her love story with a guy who literally stalks her. Weird. So we didn't do that.
To understand how we ended up here, you have to rewind a bit to what once looked like a real-life Cinderella story. RachelZegler was Hollywood's next big breakout star. After earning critical praise for her role in West Side Story, she landed the lead in Disney's live-action Snow White. It should have been the biggest moment of her career. But almost immediately after the project was announced, things started to spiral, not because of the movie itself, but because of everything being said around it. And right at the center of it all, Rachel's interviews, which quickly sparked controversy and stole the spotlight. For all the wrong reasons.
Just keeps making things worse with the Walt Disney Company. The more that she tries to defend this movie, the more that she tries to spew her agenda onto the general public, it's only making matters worse. Not just for Bob Iger, but for whatever is left of the image of Disney.
Instead of focusing on the legacy of the character or sharing her excitement about playing such a beloved role, Rachel's interviews took a very different turn. Her sound bites leaned heavily into criticizing the original Snow White film. In one now viral clip, she said the prince in the 1937 cartoon literally stalks her and called the story weird and outdated. That one comment was enough to set the internet on fire. Backlash came fast, and it hasn't stopped since.
That it's no longer 1937, and we absolutely wrote a Snow White that is
not going to be saved by the prince.
She's not going to be saved by the prince, and she's not going to be dreaming about true love. She's dreaming about becoming the leader she knows she can be. Weird.
For many fans, it wasn't just a hot take. It felt like she was mocking the very foundation of the classic she was being paid to represent.
Incredible movie that just came out, Snow White. Wow. I just gotta tell you, best movie I've seen in years, and there have been some really good films lately. Madam Web, Rebel Moon Part 1, that movie, that transgender one with the Mexican drug lord. But Snow White blows them all away. Chat, this movie has everything. Horrifying CGI, little people, check. A feminist princess who don't need no man, double check. Diddy dance party at the end, double Diddy check. All this to say, go see Snow White right now. The new one. Not that old stupid one where the princess gets saved by some good, upstanding guy.
The backlash kept growing, especially as more interview clips started popping up online. Some people called her bold and modern, but to most, Snow White came off as arrogant, disrespectful, and completely out of touch.
The CGI dwarfs did. Of course, that goes back to the original controversy where Peter Dinklage, a very talented little person actor, said, why are we doing that? We've hired a Latina actress to be Snow White. That's progressive.
You're replacing jobs that people could have as little people. Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs, it's for dwarfs.
The phrase girl boss Snow White started trending online, and not in a good way. Suddenly, everything Rachel said was being picked apart. Every quote, every red carpet interview, every public appearance seemed to spark even more backlash. Instead of excitement, fans felt like the magic of Snow White was disappearing right before their eyes. But things got even worse with one moment in particular, her awkward dynamic with co-star Gal Gadot during press events and award shows. People couldn't help but notice the strange body language between them, And at the Oscars, it was impossible to ignore.
Down about this girl for a couple of years now, and how they had her tweet out like a little, "Yay, Snow White, can't wait, so excited, I love to play her." And she did it and got like millions of views, and they were like, "Good job, Rachel." And then she, like minutes later, followed it up with, "And never forget, free Palestine."
And isn't her co-star Jewish?
Yes, Gal Gadot, whatever.
Gadot. I mean, what?
Yeah.
Wow.
They tried, they flew an executive, one of the producers, out to go visit personally with RachelZegler to say, "Could you please take that down? Because we understand you can have your political views, but those aren't really helpful while you're trying to build an audience for a movie. Maybe you could save them for like your diary and your friends, but like maybe not, maybe just take the tweet down." And
Zegler and Gal Gadot.
Visual effects push the boundaries of what we see on screen.
Their work makes the impossible seem possible.
With breathtaking ambition, they create magic that wraps its arms around our wildest imaginations.
Here are the nominees for Best Visual Effects.
When they presented together on stage, fans noticed there was zero chemistry and very little interaction between them. Rumors started circulating that Gal had chosen to distance herself from the controversy, and behind the scenes, things weren't exactly friendly. Meanwhile, Disney stayed unusually quiet through all of this. No major changes, no adjusted messaging, just business as usual. But the film itself, it wasn't connecting with audiences.
Miscast in that sense. Instead, she gets her name from surviving the snowstorm.
That audiences walk away from this film with an understanding of the true meaning of fairness, of what it means to be fair in this world. There is a message that's been carried on for almost 90 years now from the original animated classic. That is, fairness is what is within. Fairness is to do with your heart, the way you treat the people around you, and it has nothing to do with what you look like, and that's the misunderstanding between Snow White and the Evil Queen. I think it's such an important message, and the way that Disney has elevated it and brought it to this new audience is very...
Snow White hit theaters with Disney's full marketing machine behind it. But despite all that, ticket sales were flat. Name recognition couldn't save it, and the movie quickly became one of the studio's most divisive remakes.
What has been the reaction to Disney's latest expensive own goal?
Well, the reaction has been absolutely horrible. It is the worst box office from a Disney live-action remake that they've ever...
That flop is now locked into pop culture thanks to a brutal Simpsons parody. Classic Springfield sarcasm that cuts straight to the bone. What should have been RachelZegler's breakout moment ended up as a case study in how a bold rebrand can spiral into overreach. Whether you agreed with her modern spin or hated it, the storm surrounding this film made sure her Snow White will be remembered, but for all the wrong reasons.
Rachel is literally the star of a Disney movie, and she acts like she's some sort of victim, and that's the sort of mentality that is just poisoning people's minds. Like, she acts like...
When the buzz died down, the numbers told the story. The box office was weak, and the IMDb score collapsed to a shocking 1.6, one of Disney's worst ever. Viewers didn't just skip the film, they celebrated its failure, flooding social media with memes and Reddit threads titled, "How Not to Market a Movie." Then things got even weirder. A fake OnlyFans account using an AI-generated image of Rachel went viral in hours. It was clearly fake, yet thousands believed it. It was proof her public image had slipped so far that even the most absurd rumors felt believable. The movie is doing catastrophically. They spent $300 million, and it currently has a 2.2 out of 10 rating on IMDb. The movie itself has a major identity crisis. Critics pointed out unnecessary musical numbers, including a modernized feminist take on "Someday My Prince Will Come," which Disney deleted. The narrative was criticized for being overly political, from racial and sexual politics to class and regime issues. In short, it was called cowardly and awful. Hollywood noticed. Casting calls that once highlighted Rachel's name quietly moved on. Projects rumored to star her were stalled or recast. In just 1 year, she fell from Disney's next big thing to a brand risk. Her very public breakup with actor Josh Andreas Rivera added to the headlines, feeding the narrative of a young star unraveling under the pressure. And just as the dust began to settle, The Simpsons struck. Their episode, Snowwoke, The Reimagining, features Rachel Z as a character who bans princes, lectures villagers, and watches her movie bomb in an empty theater before melting down on Krusty the Clown show. When Springfield turns you into a punchline, you've crossed from celebrity to spectacle. There's still time for a comeback. Hollywood loves a redemption arc, but the climb is steep. Box office disaster, public backlash, and studio silence have cracked Rachel's image wide open. Now the world is watching to see whether she can glue the pieces back together or if that yellow-skinned satire just wrote the final line of her fairy tale.